When I bought the house, I wasn't chasing neighbors or small talk over picket fences. I wanted quiet, the kind that wraps around you like a heavy blanket. 3 acres on the edge of Willow Creek, just beyond the iron grip of the HOA's rulebook, seemed perfect. The pre-VYS owner had been clever, VYing out a deed that kept this land free from the community's suffocating bylaws. I thought I'd won the lottery, me own slice of peace, no strings attached. But I was wrong. It started small, like a pebble in your shoe you try to ignore. 2 days after I moved in, a flyer appeared under my windshield wiper, all cheery fonts and fake warmth, inviting me to a Willow Creek brunch. I wasn't their neighbor, not really, so I tossed it in the trash with the junk mail. Then came a knock. Midday, sun glaring like a spotlight. I opened the door to a woman in a lavender cardigan, her smile as stiff as her pearl necklace. "Laura Hensley," she said, voice syrupy but eyes cold. "President of the HOA. Just wanted to welcome you personally." She thrust a box of muffins, at memorably laced with regret. I muttered a thanks, already nudging the door shut, but she wasn't done. "We'd love for you to consider joining the association. You're just outside our boundary, but we often extend honorary membership to nearby properties." "Not interested," I said, keeping it polite but firm. "I bought this place because it's not under an HOA." Her smile twitched like a glitch in a program. Then came the lecture about aesthetic unity and property values, as if my solar panels were a crime against humanity. "I'm not in your community," I said, and closed the door. 2 days later, a violation notice was stuffed in my mailbox and signed with a blurry photo of my solar array and threats of fines. I laughed it off. I'd studied the deed like a lawyer. They had no power over me. But then my wildflowers by the mailbox were yanked out, roots and all, like Evy Denke in a crime scene. A pile of pebbles showed up at my driveway's edge, arranged in some creepy pattern. One night, I found motor oil smeared across my doormat, black and thick. I power washed it off and installed motion lights the next day. That's when things got weird. The lights started tripping at 3 a.m., always near the back fence. No animals, no shadows, just a sharp white flash in the dark. I brushed it off as raccoons until I checked my trash and found an empty micro camera package and a hardware store receipt, paid in cash. My gut churned. Someone was watching me. So I did what any paranoid tech nerd would do: built a fortress of surveillance. Infrared sensors, tree-mounted cameras, thermal monitors pinging my phone if anything warm crossed my property line. 3 nights later, at 2:43 a.m., my phone buzzed. I pulled up the feed, and there she was, Laura, dressed like a budget spy in a hoodie and leggings, dragging a collapsible ladder to my maple tree. She climbed, a tiny camera clenched in her teeth, and stretched along a branch overhanging my yard, aiming to plant it where it could spy on my patio. Rage burned through me, but I stayed glued to the screen. She fumbled with a zip tie, the branch creaked, and thin cracked ladder slipped. Laura shrieked, the branch snapped, and she plummeted into my yard, landing hard on the gravel. The ladder clanged, and silence followed. I grabbed a flashlight, tablet, and boots, heart pounding. By the time I got outside, she was moaning, leg twisted, hoodie torn. Her phone, still recording, lay nearby. She glared up at me and hissed, "You set a trap?" This was a trap. I turned the tablet toward her, replaying the footage. "You climbed my tree to plant a camera, and Sam saw the problem." The cops arrived in 13 minutes. I showed them the video before they could ask. One muttered about probable cause while the EMTs loaded Laura onto a stretcher, still ranting about HOA rules like they were law. I thought that was the end, but at 8 a.m. the next morning, 2 cruisers pulled up. An officer stepped out, hand on his belt. "Evan Carter?" I nodded, coffee in hand, my dog Rusty barking. "You're under arrest for assault, entrapment, and violating community safety codes." My cup shattered on the stone path, scalded my ankle, but I barely felt it. They cuffed me, yanked my arms back, and marched me to the cruiser like I was a predator. Across the street, Laura watched from her window, filming, her eyes gleaming with Tory. Neighbors gawked, some recording for their group chats. At the station, I sat in a holding room, fury simmering. It took an hour for a detective to watch my footage Laura climbing, falling, screaming. He muttered, "Jesus, we perp walked a guy for being a VY Tim." They released me, no charges, no apology, just a stack of paperwork. After that, I didn't sleep much. Every creak in the house felt like a threat. I stopped walking Rusty at dawn, started carrying a flashlight for grip, not light. Digging through old footage, I spotted a shadow behind the tree line taller, broader, not Laura. He never crossed into my yard, but he knew where my camera stopped. Then I found in my trash a shredded flyer with my face, labeled Known Suspicious Indie VY Duel. Fake quotes claimed I stayed up all night with strange equipment. It had HOA letterhead. I posted it online, and strangers confirmed this was a classic HOA smear tactic. 2 days later, my back window was shattered, a rock inside, and Get Out Creep burned into my kitchen wall with a laser pointer. That's when I called Sarah Klein, a lawyer who ate HOA cases for breakfast. I sent her everything: footage, flyers, police reports. She called back that night. "This is a harassment campaign, maybe a conspiracy. You ready to go all in?" Staring at the scorch mark, I said, "Scorched earth." Sarah filed a cease and desist against Laura and demanded all HOA records mentioning me. They responded by posting on their Facebook page, calling me a danger to community cohesion. That night, an encrypted email arrived with footage of me in my backyard, sipping tea, watering plants, shot from an angle my cameras didn't cover. It felt predatory, like I was being hunted. We traced it to Laura's Wi-Fi. A search warrant uncovered 3 drives in her house, labeled Carter logs, backyard angles, visitors. They cataloged my life when I mowed, when I turned off lights, even zoomed in photos of my packages. Worse, they had edited clips to make me look erratic, like a prowler. One had been sent to neighbors with a caption, "Possible threat." At an emergency HOA meeting, I played the unedited footage. Gasps filled the room. Neighbors shared their own stories: Laura finding a man for his work van, threatening a kid for aggressive hand-flapping. The board was dissolved by a 92-fan tram vote, Laura's composure crumbling. In court, the EVY Denke was a slaughter. Videos, logs, and audio of Laura saying, "If he won't join, we'll make him regret it." She claimed it was all a misunderstanding, but Sarah tore her apart. "You log his deliveries, but can't recall?" Laura snapped. "He was dangerous." The jury didn't buy it. Guilty on stalking, trespassing, defamation, conspiracy. 2 years in prison, Dula 75,000 fine, Dula 60,000 in damages to me. The HOA was disbanded, its board banned from governance. 6 months later, my yard was quiet again. Rusty's paws crunched on gravel, and I sipped coffee on my porch swing, unafraid. I started a YouTube channel, sharing surveillance tips and HOA horror stories, hitting 80,000 subscribers. Willow Creek changed to a new board, block parties, a community garden where Laura's lawn once stood. I hosted a barbecue, and neighbors came, some with apologies. One said, "We should have stood up sooner." I nodded. We all carry weight. Then, on someone's phone, the news played. Laura, released early on probation. The screen went dark before I reacted. I looked at my yard, full of laughter, and thought, "Sashi's free, but I'm not the one in a cage." So my new gate sign reads, "Not under watch, under guard." What do you think? Did Laura deserve her punishment? Or was she just a control freak who got carried away? Could I have stopped this sooner by playing nice? Or was fighting fire with fire the only way? And what about the neighbors who stood bike-wards or just caught in the crossfire? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that'll make you question who's really watching.